Hi everyone, we're back with another Atmos gaming video, back with Riftbound. I couldn't hold back. I had to get through this Jinx starter deck. We opened that first booster. That was pretty thrilling, trying to figure out what the cards are. I have to admit, I did cheat a little bit because I was flummoxed initially by this first card, this Jinx card, because it has no apparent cost. It does have these two symbols, so I did briefly look through the rules to see, like, what does this mean? What does this legend even mean? So I did limit my actual investigative knowledge to the initial setup and then the resource system, because I figure if you don't understand the resource system, it is indeed very difficult to really evaluate anything else from there. So it turns out that you get one legend card that starts in your legend zone. I guess it's like a commander. And then you get another champion version of the same character. So like this is the legend Jinx. Then you can also get a champion Jinx that is part of your main deck. So main decks are 40 cards. The legend does not count towards the main deck. That's like the 41st card. And then you have 40 cards, one of which is the champion, but it also starts in a special champion zone. So also kind of like a commander or companion zone. If we want to reference some more Magic stuff. And then you also get like a signature spell. Like we're playing Omen Bringers. No, I've got Omen Pass on the mind. I don't remember the name of that commander variant where you also get a signature spell, but basically you have like 3 different signature things. You have your legend, associated champion, that's the same character, and then also presumably a selection of some signature cards that they say are mostly going to be spells. Man, it's going to bug me not knowing the name of that. Omen, whatever the name of that commander is. So the legend also dictates basically the colors of the deck. And you do have a separate rune deck that I think it said was 15 cards that shuffled and just represents runes of these 2 colors. I don't think it was prescriptive on like what the mix has to be. So I guess you could just play one of one color if you wanted to, or like one rune of like red if you're basically all purple. And these all have names that certainly have not memorized yet. So anyway, that's the basis of it. I still don't really understand combat or anything like that. So we'll try and figure that out from the cards. Oh, I did see that things, any unit that you play comes into play exhausted, so tapped, either on a battlefield or off a battlefield, but basically all I know. So let's see, Jinx, Loose Cannon. Oh, I don't even know how you play a legend. Presumably you just get to play it for free. And notice it doesn't have any might at all, right? So it's like a super status effect, I guess. The champion version, I do believe, are units. So those, have might. It's called might. I did look that up as well, although I'll still be tempted just to call it power. All right, so Jinx, Loose Cannon. At the start of your beginning phase, so upkeep, draw 1 if you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. Pretty cool. Reminds me a little bit of Quantum Riddler, which I was really high on. Does not feel like a red-black Magic sort of thing, right? This kind of feels like blue, green, or white, literally the opposite colors in Magic's terms, but this art's awesome, Jinx awesome, and that ability seems really cool, right? So that just kind of makes me think it'd be good in aggro. I guess really any color can do this. This does kind of seem like a black affected Magic. But it makes me want to dump my hand in sort of an aggro sense so that I can keep refilling. So let's see if the rest of the deck follows that. Oh, makes sense. I have not shuffled or sorted these at all, or even looked through them, so it makes sense that the next thing we get is the champion unit, Jinx. So resources. So every turn you get to deploy 2 runes, which it has actually, I think it's called channel. I think they call it channeling. So that means you just take 2 runes from the top of your deck in your rune deck, which is shuffled and randomized itself. So you just take 2 of them and you play them face up. I think the person that goes second or goes last, if it's multiplayer, actually gets 3 runes on their first turn only. And I think the starting player draws. So, okay, in 1v1, I think the starting player draws and the player that goes second gets 3 runes instead of 2 on their first turn. So that's like the go first mitigation. In multiplayer, and 4 players, the starting player does not draw, and only the player going last gets 3 runes. So seems good. Seems like some pretty good balanced design there. Interesting to see the fact that the starting player gets to draw, but the second player gets a little bit additional acceleration. That seems honestly like a better mitigation than just not getting your draw for going first. Or it suggests that they can even out the tempo with that slight acceleration. But the big part is that I discovered, and I'm really glad I actually looked this up, is that this energy cost, you have to exhaust that many runes, so tapping your lands just like Magic. But this cost is actually more intense. This says you have to, I think they call it cycle, but you basically have to take a rune of that color and put it on the bottom of your rune deck. So it like, I guess is like sacrificing a land basically, but you're getting 2 lands for free every turn, right? So it's not nearly as, detrimental as actually sacking a land. But now I remember that like ultra rare whatever that I opened that had like 4 of the yellow symbols, like it cost 6 but 4 yellow symbols. So like you tap 6, exhaust 6, and then also have to basically put 4 on the bottom of your deck. So that's really cool actually. That's like a completely different sort of resource system from Magic, while still being in the wheelhouse, but actually it's like super exhausting, almost like exerting, but even more so because it's going on the bottom of your deck. But obviously the game is going to be priced out to make use of that, along with exhausting your runes. So all right, let's see. So this costs 3. We have to put 1 red rune back, which I wish I knew the names of those off the top of my head, but you know what, I'm gonna cheat because I'm pretty sure they're back here. Aha, Fury, Rune, and Chaos. So she takes a Fury back onto the bottom of your rune deck. She is the champion unit. Jinx, Zon, Demolitionist, Accelerate. You may pay 1 Fury as an additional cost to have me enter ready. So I guess this is actually typed mana, not generic. Either that or it means cycling. But I'm just going to assume this is actually like you have to specifically exhaust a red, and she's immediately ready, so hasty basically. When you can assault 2, so while Jinx is attacking, she has +2 might, and when you play me, discard 2. And again, that is not a May, so we haven't seen any positive discards energies yet. However, our legend here, being Jinx, obviously energizes with this card and makes that at least not as much as a downside, because we're going to be redrawing. And hopefully there are graveyards energies, because obviously that would be pretty cool. And 4 mites, pretty substantial from what we've seen, and immediately goes to 6, basically hasty, if I pay 4. So like on turn 2, right, if I'm going first or second, because you only get 3 when you're going second. So on turn 2, basically I could have a 6 might hasty Jinx, which seems like the best stats we've seen yet. Vi makes sense. She's also a champion unit. I thought you had to literally play like a champion Jinx with Jinx, and that might be the case. Maybe this can just be part of your deck, but it can't occupy the champion slot unless your legend is Vi, I think. So let's see, this is 2 and a Fury rune getting put back, and it's a 3 might, and it has ganking. I can move from battlefield to battlefield. Cool. I'm gonna assume that requires exhausting to do that. And recycle 1 from your trash. Recycling is what puts it on the bottom. So they're immediate graveyard's energy, right? We just ask for it. We immediately get graveyard or trash's energy. We're recycling our trash. It's very green of Vi. And it gives her a 1 might for this turn. And it also appears, that would definitely appear repeatable, right? She doesn't exhaust to do it. I don't know if abilities can be done at instant speed or sorcery speed. I have a feeling that there's sorcery speed, if I were to guess, because I think react, or whatever they call it, the instant speed, is a little bit more rare in this game than Magic. So I'm going to assume this is sorcery speed and can be responded to, but cannot respond to other things, but I'm not sure about that. But anyway, so this is a 3 might for 2, where we do have to recycle 1, or we have to, maybe that's also called recycling, where we have to get rid of a rune, but can get bigger, so it seems cool. And those are just both rares. I think these, yeah, I guess I should also look up the rarity, so I'm not getting them always wrong. That's a diamond thing, a diamond rarity. Rasa, the Sunderer, 10. That's a lot, but only takes 1 away. So that's the neat tempo of the game, right? Is like you could play stuff that actually recycles very little runes, so that you can like. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can ramp as a function of play pattern, right? The less runes that you recycle in the casting of your cards, it's like pseudo acceleration relative to a more tempo-y game plan that might consume runes more rapidly to develop the board, more effectively, quicker with tempo. So that's already cool. Into that. Let's see, 6 might, so pretty big, and it costs 1 less for each card in your trash. So here we go again. Also a rare. So there's common, triangle, diamond, and then super gold diamond thing. So I'm just going to call these rares until I'm proven incorrect. So costing 1 less for each card in your trash obviously goes great with our champion unit here, and our legend. So I don't know how good this is. It's just kind of no text, but it seems like a pretty good beater. Potentially really cheap if you draw him late, which seems nice. Definitely could swing the game. This is a unit, Noxus Dragon, Blazing Scorcher, costs 5, has to put none back, right? So you're not affecting your ramp or any other developing game plan by playing this, and 5 might, so like a 5/5 for 5 basically. And you may pay 1 and a Fury as an additional cost to have it enter ready. So again, that's like the 1 mana haste premium that we're used to seeing in Magic. This just seems like your everyday solid sort of common. This seems fine. I got a couple of those. Again, look at this. You can see this is interesting. This little, I don't know if you saw that, but this like little nook right here makes me think that these are like heavily perforated when they're printed and they're kind of like broken out or whatever, rather than like cut as cards typically are. That was kind of neat. But yeah, just seems like a solid 5-drop there. Although again, even calling it a 5-drop is a little bit weird because of that recycling mechanic. Like I feel this is cheaper in a way than what you would call a 5-drop in Magic, because again, you're developing 2 every turn and it requires none coming back. I'll try to stop belaboring that point, but that's going to be definitely some tempo that takes getting used to. So here we go, another unit, Flame Chompers. I guess that's a unit. It costs 3, don't have to put any runes back. It's a 3 might. When you discard me, you may pay a Fury rune to play me. So this says you may pay 1 Fury. So I don't know if this means then I'm paying 1 generic and a Fury. Okay, so maybe this means I'm paying 1 generic and a Fury rather than just paying a Fury. So maybe this is actually costs 2 more to be hasty, which I would say is slightly off curve, but again, you get 2 runes a turn. So let's just assume that this actually means 2 total runes. This is only 1 rune. So obviously this is basically your madness cost. And I'm pretty sure this does not include recycling that rune back to the bottom of your deck. Actually, I'm going to look up some of this stuff at the end if we can't figure it out to see if I'm just way off base. But yeah, this seems strong, right? Obviously, more discards energy. And we also have 2 of those, 3 of those. I think 3 is the maximum you can have in a deck. And the max deck size is 40 cards, or the min deck size is 40 cards. Brazen Buccaneer. 6 cost, no recycle, 5 might. When you play me, you may discard a card as an additional cost. You may. If you do, reduce my cost by 2. Awesome. Love it. Very clear what's going on here. So for 5, we can play this for 4, discard this, play it for 1, develop 8 might on the board. Obvious energy, cool stuff. Already seen more discards energy. Why would be interested in this? Also playing 3 of those. Ooh, our first spell in the deck. And were these all Ruby cards, basically? Rost was not, but pretty much all the other units were. I said Ruby. Oops, my Lorcana spelling out of me. Fury. And this is Chaos, right? Chaos, yes. Alright, so Fight or Flight. Costs 2. Hidden. Hide now for... I'm gonna guess that's a 1 of any color. I guess 1 of any color. To react with later for 0. So that's saying that you can basically, when you do play it face down, it actually changes it from a sorcery to an instant, or from spell speed 1 to spell speed 2, whichever one's faster in Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's also free later. Why would you not just always do that? Why would you not just always do that instead of paying it for 2? Maybe there's some, like, timing issue. Maybe if you play something hidden, you can't react with it immediately. Because it seems like if it only costs... And I'm assuming this means 1 of any color. You can see the symbol. It's like this rainbow symbol. React with later. It says with later, so I don't know what later means. A turn other than this one. And it can move a unit from a battlefield to its base. So that basically undeploys it from a battlefield, and it has to exhaust to get back on the battlefield. Otherwise it costs 2. So this is hard to evaluate for various reasons. 1, because I don't know exactly what the cost is. And it can be played in showdowns and combat as well. So when it says play it on your turn or in showdowns, that means it can be played during combat as effectively an instant, but not necessarily in response to anything else, in response to other spells. But if it has react, which I'm presuming it does if you play it face down, then it can also be used in response to other spells and abilities as a true instant. So that's going to take some getting used to, if I even have that right. All right, Gust for 1. Play anytime, even before spells and abilities resolve. So a true instant, it has reaction. Return a unit at a battlefield with 3 might or less to its owner's hand. Ooh, I like that. That seems pretty cool. That's a pretty strong tempo play, like especially with, again, with the Jinx legend that's going to refill my hand. This seems strong, right? If you're like kind of more aggro-y and I'm just like, you know, bounce your thing, because I'm going to redraw anyway. So this seems good. Oh, also, I want to point out some more specific wording in this than I'm going to interpret in React. So while it is a true instant, there doesn't seem to be any priority pausing between phases. So even though it's an instant that I do believe you can play on your opponent's turn, you only have the ability to react to them doing something. Now that doing something can be the trigger of another ability, like during their upkeep or whatever they call it in this game, effectively their upkeep. So you can respond to triggers with reactions, but you can't like just respond to effectively nothing on the stack on your opponent's turn. So you can play it anytime during your turn or anytime in response to something else occurring that does not appear to include the transitioning of phases. I could have that wrong, but that's my current interpretation. We do have 3 gusts, which is cool because I think that's pretty good. So we got Undercover Agent. Here's our Chaos common unit, and it does actually require recycling a rune here, so a bit more intense of a cost. And it has an ability, Death Knell, discard 2, then draw 2. And it says, I guess Death Knell is like you know, a dies trigger. When I die, get the effect. So it rummages 2 on death, which seems, again, pretty good in this deck, what we've seen so far. But again, that actually having to recycle a rune there is definitely a more intense cost than normal. Get excited. Here's the Jinx spell. Here's our first spell with a recycle cost. So again, this is definitely more of a premium to play because it sets your game plan back a little bit. So it's just an action, not reaction. Discard 1, deal its energy cost, which is this, as a damage to a unit at a battlefield. Ignore its power cost. Okay, so just pure energy cost. So you're necessarily 2 for 1ing yourself with this, right? Like that's, in Magic terms, I mean, you're even doing more because you're actually even recycling one of your runes. So like you're decelerating 1 and discarding 1. Now discarding we've seen not be the worst thing obviously in this deck, but that is still pretty steep. Maybe direct damage is more of a rare effect. I mean, knocking something by the other side of the coin, I mean, as we were saying, as a tempo play, I mean, this only costs 2 net, right? And it can basically kill pretty much anything. Discard, you know, one of your larger cards and just really tempo someone out, and you redraw with your legend. So seems cool. Magma Worm, 8, and a recycle of a Fury for an 8 might, and other units enter ready. So haste for the team. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. It does not, notice, other friendly. It does not enter ready. So this is a 2 for 2. It's going to be hard not to say 2 for 2. It's just a 2 for 2. When you play me, discard 1. Oh yeah, we opened one of these. And it has Assault 2, so it gets 2 might while it's attacking, which definitely seems above right here. Being forced to discard on your 2-drop, again, not ideal, but the legend that we have being Jinx helping us redraw when our hand is low just makes sense why this card is playable and maybe even quite good. Cemetery Attendant, 3 and a recycle of a rune, which is, again, quite the cost, for 3 might. When you play me, return a unit from your trash to your hand. Oh, it's Gravedigger. Here's our Gravedigger, only costs 3 and has 3 might. So in Magic, right, this is 4 mana for a 2/2 that does this. So this seems a little bit better than standard Gravedigger if we can use our equivocations here. Again, it's going to be hard to understand exactly what the cost of recycling runes are, you know, how much of that you can put in your deck. It's going to be an interesting deck building decision, I think, as well. You know, how much of that you play. So that's probably the most intriguing part about this game to me so far. Well, also all the different commanderisms of your legend, your champion, your signature spell. I guess we should look for the signature spell as well. Presumably it's somewhere in here. All right, so here's another unit. So a 4 for 4 might. If you've discarded a card this turn, I have Assault and Ganking. So plus Assault is +1 might while attacking, and it can move from battlefield to battlefield. So that seems strong. And this is a uncommon. They probably call this diamond or rare, but I'm just going to call it an uncommon. So yeah, I mean, that seems, so it's a 5 might that can presumably exhaust to transfer battlefields, and yeah, discarding a card. Obviously this deck kind of does it without even trying necessarily. It's just going to do it all the time, so this seems always enabled and quite good. All right, 2 might for 2, Traveling Merchant. When I move, discard 1, then draw 1. So when I move, I presume would mean from base to battlefield or battlefield to base. I guess this could be forced move, as we saw, like there was that other card that moves something to a base. Presumably that does this, or triggers this as well, and it's a rummage. So just seems like some meat and potatoes enabling here. 3 of those as well. Oh, here's a spell, Void Seeker. There's Kaisa's Void Seeker, the bane of ARAMs everywhere. 3 mana for and a Fury rune getting recycled, and it deals 4 damage to a unit at a battlefield. Draw 1. Well, that seems good. compared to that other one, I guess, you know, again, it costs 2, and we had to recycle a Fury, and it could do X damage, where X is the energy cost of the spell that we're discarding. This only does 4, but you're also drawing a card, which seems good. Seems worth, if I'm getting 2 runes a turn into play, this is only using 1 and drawing a card. That seems like positive value. Oh, this is also important to say, damage does reset, like in Magic, at the end of turn. So like you don't have persistent damage in this game. So 4 damage, you know, it has to kill something that has might less than 4. So still seems strong though. I mean, this seems like a really good removal card on first blush. Give a 4 for our, this is also a spell, and it does have to recycle a Chaos Rune. Give a unit at a battlefield or gear temporary. Kill it at the start of its controller's beginning phase before scoring. Cool. I guess I don't even know really how scoring works yet. For sure, holding battlegrounds at the start of a turn is how you score, but I'm not sure exactly how you hold a battleground. You just have to have 1 unit there. Not sure what goes into that. So this is like hard removal basically, but so I guess the idea is that the reason it's a delayed effect is it prevents you from like just removing it and immediately taking that battlefield on your turn. It's like you play it and it's going to kill, like unconditionally kill that unit, but then you won't be able to like reoccupy it until your next turn. So less tempo on being able to immediately score points, but still seems really solid. I mean, 4 is a little premium, and recycling 1, I mean, compare that to this, right? We just have a great comparison. If something has 4 or less might, this kills it, costs 1 less, and redraws, and does it immediately, so that you can still like try to attack or occupy the battlefield yourself. So definitely paying much more of a premium for the delayed yet unconditional removal. Scrap Heap. 2 cost gear. When this is played, discarded, or killed, draw 1. Okay. Talk about the utility box here. Scrap Heap makes sense. This is like a, I'm not gonna remember there's various artifacts that do the different pieces of this in Magic, right? So this is cool. I mean, this is like the most ultimate free discard ever, right? And sack outlet and what have you. I almost don't like how universally functional this is. I feel like they maybe ate up some design space that didn't need to, just because it like kind of does it all. But I would obviously play it in this deck, all of it that I could, very happily. Okay, so here's our battlefields. I'm also still not sure exactly how or when these are played. When you defend here, you may move a friendly unit here to base. Okay, so like if I'm occupying this battlefield and someone is attacking me, I can choose, I guess, before attack damage occurs, before the showdown is probably what it's called, occurs, I can bail someone out. Seems like a losing the fight strategy, but maybe to live to fight another day. Targon's Peak. When you conquer here, so I'm guessing we have had a showdown and I have won it. Ready 2 runes at the end of this turn. Oh, that's neat. For like playing instants or reactions. That's kind of cool. Little Teferi effect there. Readying your runes. Like it. Zon Warrens. When you conquer here, discard 1, then draw 1. I wonder if conquering is only like if there was a showdown that you won, or could it be like from an empty state? Like if no one is here and I occupy it, does that count as conquering? So obviously that's good for the deck because it goes, and that's it. So only, how many total battlefields was that? 4, 1, 2, just 3? Wait, 3 total battlefields? Huh. And then the runes, looks like it's completely even, which makes sense for a starter deck. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I guess it's 12 cards in your rune deck, not 15, like I said earlier. And then this is, like I said, 40 cards plus 1 for your legend. So obviously this is a kind of aggressive tempo discards energy deck, but I dig it. I like it. This seems honestly fairly strong for a starter deck. I mean, obviously, I'm sure decks get a lot stronger than this, but like this is feels heavily synergistic and like it's gonna play well. So I'm excited to do some test games with this coming up soon. Now we got more packs and more decks to go through. I think I got one of each of the starter decks. So yeah, let me know if you're into this, if I did a decent job explaining what I could. And I think now I am just going to go ahead and look up those final rules so that I'm less of an idiot while opening some more packs. I actually bought some loose packs because I don't want to bust any of my boxes in case there's limited. God, I hope there's limited. Oh, you also get this, kind of like commander decks in Magic these days. You get a little like self-assembling deck box to hold your deck, so that's cool. Does not look like it could hold it in sleeves though. Let's see. Oh, I haven't really even looked at the back of the cards yet. I somehow wasn't expecting it to be, oh, runes are white. I was gonna say I wasn't expecting it to be so white. Runes are white, normal cards are black. It would have been cool if they had like made legends. Oh, nope, they did. Okay, legends are black, normal cards are blue, and then runes are white. I was like, oh, it would be cool if they had made legends their own color. And they did. Oh, we didn't find the signature spell. Or at least I didn't think I found the signature spell. Maybe it doesn't come with a signature spell. I would think it'd be get excited, right? Because it's very Jinx. Maybe I misread something about the signature spell, or maybe the starter deck just doesn't come with a signature spell. I'm not sure. I'll look up that too. But anyway, let's see how it fits in the box. It fits pretty well. I don't think, maybe if you just sleeve the main deck and leave the runes unsleeved, maybe you can get away with it. It is just 40 cards, so we'll see. I need to buy some more sleeves because again, I am out of town. I have infinite sleeves back at home, but we'll see if it fits in here. All right, thanks guys. More pack openings next. All right, I'm back. I got some quick rules clarifications as promised. I did a little bit of investigation. So first of all, the big one is I found out that any rune symbols like this one that's at one of any color because it's rainbow, or like this one that's specifically fury or red, those mean actually recycling the runes. So that now kind of makes sense why you might want to just pay 2 energy for this, because you actually have to recycle the rune to hide it and then react with it for 0. Also, I did get the clarification that I was actually correct about reactions and actions. So reactions cannot happen between phases, only literally in reacting to something that your opponent can do. So there's no like phase passing priority, but there is action-based priority for you to react to. Actions can be played in showdowns as well. I don't think they can react in showdowns either. Like you can play them during a showdown, which is what happens on battlefields, even if there's not combat. So I'm going to go into that a little bit more here in a second. Abilities on cards actually have the slowest spell speed, so they can only be played by default during your turn, when you're not in a showdown and not during your opponent's turn. So they're like the slowest, because actions are your turn or in showdowns, reactions are your turns or in showdowns or in response to any other triggered or activated ability, and then these activated abilities are only during your turn. So that was helpful. Also champion units, you can play a bunch of champion units, but only one can be your champion, and that one starts in the champion zone. But then when it dies, it doesn't return to the champion zone. It just goes into your trash. So it's just like an extra card in your opening hand. You only get 4 cards in your opening hand, and you can mulligan 2. Also, the signature spell, the starter deck, I guess, doesn't have it. I guess it's a premium thing, but it has to match your legend, which is also going to match your champion, the signature spell. So you can't just play any signature spell in your deck, but you can play different champion units in your deck, even if they don't match your legend, but they cannot be the champion, aka hold the champion slot, unless they do specifically match your legend. So anyway, those were some pretty useful updates to some rules. I kind of got carried away and looked at a whole bunch of rules, and the good news is that, at least for the tournament perspective, a lot of it is conforming to what Magic has already figured out. Looks like we're even going to get a sideboard of 8 cards. Decks have to equal exactly 40 cards, which is pretty cool. There's a bunch of other, there's at least sealed limited. I didn't see mention of draft, but if you can do sealed, hopefully you can do draft. Draft is life. So I'm gonna crack some packs.